Hey, it's Mark Linney with your video thought for the day as we continue to cruise through the Bible, book by book, giving each book about 4-minute summaries and trying to find some lesson in those books in the process. Now, when I was a kid, suffering was something I was most familiar with from watching Looney Tune cartoons on a Saturday. And I think it was Sylvester the cat that would say, "Sufferin' fuckatash." And I found out he was saying "suffering succotash," and I didn't quite know what suffering was, but certainly you don't get very far in life without finding out. Now, all of us suffer, and that's not an invention in the 21st century. It's been around as long as humanity's been out of the Garden of Eden. And so the question of what happens when a person is suffering, why do bad things happen even to good people or people who at least seem to deserve better? These are questions that are analyzed and asked in the book of Job, and that's the book that we're looking at today. So the book of Job is trying to tackle an age-old question about suffering, but what it really does is invite us into a profound exploration of faith, suffering, and even the nature of God. So let's start with an overview and a summary. Job's a righteous man. He's a prosperous man. He's got great family, great wealth, but he loses everything: his wealth, his children, his health. Doesn't lose his wife, but just about everything else. And we understand in the beginning, this comes out of Satan challenging God, saying Job's faithfulness is based only on his prosperity and blessings. So God says, no, he's truly a faithful man. And Satan gets rid of and takes from Job all of these different blessings. Job's friends come to sit with him in his sufferings, and they tell him, this is because you're being punished because of things you did wrong. And Job's saying, no, I maintain my innocence. I just question God's justice. And then in the end, God speaks, and God emphasizes his sovereignty. God emphasizes the limits of human understanding. We don't even understand how he made the world. And Job at the end humbly submits to God's wisdom, and his fortunes are restored. So if that's the basic storyline, what can the context of history tell us? Well, this is probably written sometime during Israel's wisdom era, think the time of Solomon. And it reflects some of the ancient Near Eastern views on suffering and justice, but it really does it in a very different way. It gives a very different answer. And that we get to in the third area with the key themes that are advanced here. First, the nature of suffering and its purpose is to drive us not away from God, but to drive us to God and a deeper understanding of our faith. Because we will learn this theme in Job, that there are limits to human wisdom and limits in our ability to understand God's ways. And so ultimately we're driven to accept the sovereignty of God, that he is truly over all, and that our faith needs to persevere through trials. Lastly, I find one of the themes that there really are not simple answers to suffering. It's not something that you can just answer in 30 seconds or even in 40 plus chapters. Suffering is very complicated and it's very limited in what we can understand. So my memorable verse I give you, there are number that we could pick from, but the memorable verse for me out of Job comes from Job 13, verse 15. And the first part of that says, though he, God, slay me, yet will I hope in him. Because when we are suffering, there's really no other place where we can put our hope but God. So here's your call to action. God, in Job's story, challenges us to examine our faith, to put our trust in God, not in our material possessions and not in our own righteousness, but trust him that he will deliver us even in the midst of the depths of suffering. That's walking by faith. And it's why I've made this your video thought for today.